For centuries, whispers have echoed through the forgotten corridors of time, rumors of a secret teaching so powerful that it could awaken the hidden potential of the human mind. It wasn't just knowledge, it was transformation itself. But those who dared to share it disappeared, leaving behind only fragments scattered across history like forbidden ashes. The ancients called it the inner flame, a concept that defied everything humanity was taught to believe. It suggested that reality itself was not fixed, but shaped by the mind of the observer. To accept that idea meant to reject control, authority, and even the limits of the physical world. That's why it had to be buried. Hidden among temples carved in silence and ruins swallowed by jungles, small traces of this teaching remain. A line on a crumbling tablet, a symbol etched into stone, a ritual described in the margins of an ancient codex. Every clue points to a truth too dangerous for the world that replaced it. Those who studied it understood something terrifying, that our lives are not governed by fate, but by the stories we accept as truth. And if we can rewrite those stories, we can rewrite our reality. To the rulers of old, that was blasphemy. To us today, it's liberation waiting to be remembered. The Roman emperors ordered its scrolls to be burned. The church labeled its followers heretics. Secret societies swore to guard what little survived. Yet, somehow, through centuries of silence, the core of the teaching endured, passed down in riddles, symbols, and dreams. In the 12th century, a monk named Edric claimed he had uncovered the code of the flame. His notes describe a method to unfold perception beyond the walls of illusion. He vanished weeks later, his monastery consumed by fire. Some say he succeeded, and that the fire was the price of revelation. Across the world, similar stories appeared. Shamans, alchemists, mystics, all speaking of a forbidden path to awakening. Different words, same message. The world you see is not the real one. The real one lies just beyond the veil of belief. And once you cross it, you can never go back. One of the most disturbing discoveries comes from a cave in Anatolia, where an ancient text speaks of the first dreamer, a being who shaped mountains and oceans through thought alone. Scholars dismissed it as mythology, but the precision of the symbols matches cultures separated by thousands of miles. Coincidence or evidence of a hidden lineage of knowledge? When explorers unearthed the Codex of Ra, they found a chilling warning etched in gold. Those who awaken the flame shall lose the world they knew. It was both prophecy and curse, because awakening doesn't just reveal the truth, it burns away everything built on the lie. This teaching taught that thought is the first matter, the true origin of creation. Every temple, every empire, every civilization began as an idea. But once institutions realized they could control which ideas survived, they began to control reality itself. That's the secret that terrifies them. Reality bends to the strongest belief. Those in power crafted systems to ensure your belief served them. Schools, religions, media, all of it designed to keep you dreaming their dream. You were never meant to wake up. The ancient masters warned that awakening too soon could destroy the mind. That's why initiation rituals were so dangerous. They shattered perception, forcing one to confront the raw fabric of consciousness. Many who tried lost themselves in madness. Others never came back the same. In 1907, a secret manuscript surfaced in Prague, known as Liber Cecus, or the Book of the Blind. It spoke of techniques to unlock the inner architecture of thought. Those who read it reported vivid hallucinations of light and sound. The book disappeared again, seized by unknown agents. Every attempt to reveal the teaching has been erased. Every scholar silenced, every trace covered by coincidence or fire. The more you look, the clearer it becomes. Someone, or something, wants this truth buried forever. Why? Because once you understand how the illusion works, you stop obeying it. You stop fearing. You stop consuming. You start creating. That's when you become dangerous. not to yourself, but to the system built on your blindness. The teaching begins with a single principle. You are the source. Everything else follows from that. Your emotions shape energy, your thoughts mold form, your attention feeds existence. The world isn't outside of you. It's inside, projected outward like a mirror of your belief. This is why awakening feels like breaking. The first time you realize your fears, your failures, even your pain are echoes of your own mind, something inside you dies, the part that believed it was powerless. That death is necessary for transformation to begin. Modern science now flirts with this idea through quantum physics, speaking of observers influencing outcomes. But the ancients lived it. They didn't need machines to measure the invisible. They saw it with the mind's eye, and paid the price for knowing too much. Somewhere in Tibet, a hidden monastery is said to preserve the last complete version of the teaching. Monks who train there are forbidden to speak to outsiders. Pilgrims claim that those who enter the temple's inner chamber emerge days later, with eyes that no longer blink. What they see, no one knows. But the stories say that once the inner flame ignites, perception never returns to normal. The world becomes transparent. Time feels fluid, and the illusion of separation dissolves like smoke in wind. What would it mean if that was true? If the world you know, your job, your past, your fears, were simply the shadow cast by your mind's limited light? Could you accept that the boundaries of reality are self-imposed cages? Many can't. That's why this knowledge is called forbidden. Not because it's evil, but because it demands the destruction of everything false. It tears away the comfort of ignorance, forcing you to face a universe without walls, where you are both prisoner and creator. In 1943, a physicist reportedly rediscovered the principle of the inner flame through equations involving human consciousness and electromagnetic resonance. His research was classified immediately. The project name, Seraph Protocol. It vanished from all archives. Every time humanity gets close to rediscovering this ancient key, something stops it. War, chaos, fear, as if the world itself conspires to keep us asleep. But maybe it's not the world. Maybe it's us. Because true awakening is terrifying. Imagine realizing that every thought you've ever had shaped the events of your life. Every limitation, every failure, a reflection of your belief in the impossible. The weight of that realization could crush an unprepared mind. That's why the teaching demanded initiation, a controlled rebirth of perception. But the fragments that survive hint at something else, that the teaching was never meant to be exclusive. It was meant for everyone, a collective awakening that could shift the very nature of reality. And that is precisely what makes it so dangerous to those who rule through fear. If the masses remembered this truth, the entire system of control would collapse overnight. Money, politics, power, all illusions dependent on belief. Change the belief, and you dissolve the illusion. That is the real revolution. The teaching warned, "He who awakens the flame must master the shadow it reveals." Because awakening doesn't only bring light, it exposes the darkness within. Every suppressed fear, every hidden desire, all surface at once. The process is both purification and chaos. That's why those who survived it were revered as sages. They weren't gods. They were humans who saw too much and lived to tell the tale. But their message was always the same. Reality is not what you think, and you are not who you believe. Now, the fragments of that ancient wisdom are reappearing, encoded in art, in dreams, even in modern science. The question is, will we recognize it before it's buried again? Or will we once more trade truth for the comfort of illusion? Because the forbidden teaching is not hidden in temples or scrolls anymore. It's hidden inside you, waiting to be remembered. And those who remember are never the same again. The deeper you go into this mystery, the more you realize that the forbidden teaching isn't something to be learned. It's something to be remembered. Every fragment of it exists already within the human soul, buried beneath layers of programming, fear, and repetition. The real initiation begins when you start questioning who taught you to doubt your own mind. Those who rediscovered it throughout history shared one trait. They stopped believing in limitation. They began to experiment with thought as if it were a living force, capable of bending matter, altering fate, and rewriting destiny. And every time one of them succeeded, the world around them changed. Sometimes subtly, sometimes catastrophically. It is said that the first true practitioner in modern times was a woman known only as Aurelia. She lived in Paris in 1889 and claimed she could manifest visions into reality through deep states of awareness. Witnesses reported strange phenomena around her: lights bending, clocks halting, shadows that moved against the light. She was found dead one night, her apartment sealed from the inside, the walls covered with a single phrase: "The dream became aware of itself." Every era has its Aurelias, those who glimpse behind the curtain and pay the ultimate price, because the forbidden teaching isn't a tool, it's a mirror. It reflects not what you want to see, but what truly is. And most minds aren't ready for that confrontation. Imagine being stripped of every illusion. No religion to cling to, no belief to protect you, no story to justify your pain. What remains is terrifyingly simple: the realization that everything that ever hurt you was part of your own creation. Not punishment, not fate, but the echo of your own forgotten power. That's the first step: remembrance. The second is acceptance. And the third is creation. Once you accept that you are the architect of your existence, you begin to reshape it consciously. But that act of creation comes with responsibility. Every choice becomes a spell, every thought a seed of reality. This is why the old masters warned that the teaching could destroy those who approached it with greed or fear. Because whatever you carry inside, darkness or light, is amplified 1,000-fold when you awaken. The mirror doesn't lie. It magnifies. In 1952, a man named Dr. Kalen Meyer claimed to have rediscovered the same principles through neurolinguistic experiments. His research revealed that the human brain reacts to thought as if it were physical reality, releasing chemical cascades identical to lived experience. He wrote, "The mind cannot distinguish between what is imagined and what is real. Therefore, imagination is reality in its first form." Weeks later, he vanished. The few surviving documents from his lab mention Phase 3, projection. Whatever that meant, the government seized everything. Witnesses reported the lab glowing blue for hours after his disappearance. The case was never reopened. The pattern repeats across history: discovery, awakening, erasure. Someone always tries to reveal the forbidden teaching, and someone else always makes sure the world forgets. But knowledge, once born, cannot truly die. It hides, waiting for the next curious soul brave enough to seek it again. Today, the teaching takes new forms, hidden in digital codes, encrypted across the internet, disguised as art, meditation, or quantum theory. The same flame burns, just wearing a different face. But the message remains unchanged. You are not a victim of the world. You are the creator of it. The modern world calls that delusion. The ancients called it enlightenment. One path denies power, the other demands it. And the choice between them defines everything about who we are becoming. Those who follow the forbidden teaching begin to see strange patterns. Numbers repeating, people appearing at perfect moments, events aligning in impossible ways. It feels like coincidence at first, but soon you realize it's feedback. The universe responding to your consciousness in real time. That realization is both thrilling and horrifying. Because if you can shape reality, then everything wrong in your life is your doing too. There is no one left to blame. And that's where most people turn away, back toward the comfort of the dream. But those who keep going discover something else, that even the dream itself is sacred. That illusion isn't punishment, it's creation's playground. The forbidden teaching doesn't destroy the world. It teaches you to love it consciously, as the reflection of your own infinite mind. The texts describe an advanced stage known as the unfolding. It's the moment when the inner and outer worlds merge completely. Those who reach it stop perceiving themselves as separate beings. Time loses meaning. Death becomes transition. Reality turns fluid, like a lucid dream that never ends. Some call it madness, others call it ascension. Perhaps it's both, because to see truth clearly means to lose everything false, and most people define themselves by the false. Archaeologists in 1978 found a tablet in northern Egypt describing this exact transformation. The inscription read, "When the soul remembers itself, the sky will fold like paper and man will step between moments." The find was classified, its location sealed. Every discovery that points to this ancient knowledge seems to vanish into the same black hole of secrecy. The deeper you dig, the more invisible walls you hit, guarded not by armies, but by silence, disbelief, and ridicule. That is how truth is buried today. Not through fire, but through laughter. Yet, the cracks are spreading. More people are waking up, noticing the patterns, sensing the shift, realizing the dream is thinning. You can feel it too, can't you? That strange pull in your chest when something inside you whispers, "There's more." That's the forbidden teaching calling. Not from outside, but from within. It speaks through intuition, through synchronicities, through the moments you can't explain but can't ignore either. It doesn't need priests or prophets. It only needs your attention. Once you give it that, everything changes. The teaching begins to unfold naturally, like a memory returning from a long sleep. Life starts to respond to your thoughts faster. People appear as mirrors. The line between coincidence and intention disappears. You start to understand why they called it forbidden. Because a world of awakened creators cannot be controlled. You can't manipulate someone who knows their mind shapes their fate. You can't enslave someone who knows they are dreaming. The greatest fear of those who rule isn't rebellion, it's remembrance. Because the moment humanity remembers what it is, control collapses without a fight. The chains dissolve, and reality itself shifts toward something freer, purer, unimaginable. But with that freedom comes weight. Once you awaken, there is no going back to sleep. The dream you once loved becomes transparent, fragile, filled with echoes of what you used to believe. That's why only the brave continue, because the truth, once seen, consumes the false until only light remains. Every thought you have from now on will shape the path ahead. The forbidden teaching was never about worship or ritual. It was about authorship. You are the writer of your own universe, the painter of the unseen, the architect of every experience you'll ever have. The ancients said, "He who remembers the flame becomes the flame." That's not poetry, it's prophecy. The light you seek isn't waiting in the sky. It's waiting in you, patient, eternal, unstoppable. So look deeper. Question everything. Doubt every limit they taught you to accept. Because the greatest secret of all is this: you were never asleep. You only believed you were. And now that you've remembered, nothing will ever be the same again.